Here on the Heritage Station, WVOL 1470. Like I said, I have a testimony. Be blessed. And good morning to all the listeners out there. I am your host, Charzetta Hall of I Have a Testimony, along with Kenethia Patterson and Pastor Judy Johnson. We pray that you had a wonderful week and an awesome weekend. I know I did. I have been blessed by the Lord. I just thank God for another day. Kenethia is here with us, and I'm sure she's going to do Monday's motivation. But we're going to do some shout outs. So I just like to say to all the sick and shut in, those that's in the hospital, the nursing home, the foster care system, runaway, missing children, missing people, those that are incarcerated, and those that are going through homelessness. I want you to know that we are praying for you and we're asking that God's will be done. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to Kenethia Patterson in case there's some shout outs she might want to do. So,
all righty, good morning. It actually is some shout outs built into Monday's motivation.
Okay.
This is a Monday's motivation that has the least written words that I've ever done.
Oh, okay.
And I was telling my mom that I at least have more than 100 Monday's motivations from the time that I came, and that was like my first one, if you think about it, because God led me to write something that day for my 35th birthday.
Yes,
and did. So that's funny when you think back on it, because this is what God ordained all along, and that's what this Monday's motivation is about. So I brought some items that Miss Charzetta can kind of show. Not this one. This one in this envelope, I have a white envelope here. It is the first invoice for Visionaries Incorporated.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to tell the story about these items as I go through. This is the article from the Nashville Business Journal where I went top 40 under 40.
Okay.
So I don't know if Miss Charzetta want to show that.
Yes, I do.
And this is the newspaper from it. I was at an interview at my job, and like we was all celebrating that I was in the Nashville Business Journal. And they were so very happy, and they want to volunteer anytime for us. So that's a blessing.
That is a blessing.
This last one is from the mayor's office.
What? Oh my God. Kenethia Patterson.
So, yes, that right there. So I'm going to tell you about those items because it was a long time coming, a long, hard battle, a long fight to get in those items.
Right.
And so the journey, I talk about it a lot. And this being I have a testimony, it's a total testimony on the journey getting here. It started 2011 all the way until now we're 2022. That's a full 10-year span. And so the biggest shout outs I want to give, like Miss Charzetta, she always goes into my Monday's motivations. Whether she knows it or not, she always does. Some kind of way she figure out a way to get in my Monday's motivations.
Oh my God. Okay.
That, and the first shout out is to I Have a Testimony. And to Miss Charzetta, to WVOL. Y'all are the first ones that really believed in me. And always when it was rough, y'all been here with me through all of it. So I want to say thank you and I love y'all.
And the same to you.
Yes, that's the biggest shout out that I have. I had to put y'all first. And then shout out to Nashville Business Journal for seeing me. I really appreciate that.
I know.
And they put me, if you look at that newspaper article, I don't know if any of the other top 40 under 40 were on the front page, but I was blessed to be on the front page. So that's a blessing. That's nothing but the favor of God to me. So the next one is the Storytellers Project. So that's through the Tennessean and the Tennessee Black Voices. So shout out to them for believing in me.
Okay.
I am an alumni of Nashville Business Incubation Center. Shout out to them for believing in me. I'm an alumni of Corner to Corner. Thank you for believing in me. And Miss Sheila, I just met her. This lady has the biggest personality. She works for the Center for Nonprofit Management. I wanted to give her a huge shout out because I went by on a whim. I was a walk-in, and we just talked like we known each other for years. So I just wanted to give her a shout out for being that face that you first see when you walk in the Center for Nonprofit Management, and for being so welcoming, to be the person that gives resources. So that's what I want to give her a shout out for. And then to the Homeless Planning Commission and the mayor's office, I thank you for allowing me to serve as a voice for those families that are larger. They're also working. Sometimes they have two parents. They may make 60,000, which is like 30,000 per person a year, but because it's a bigger family, they can end up couch surfing or living in their cars. So it's more to the story. I'm a proximal asset to this needed missing information, and I look forward to seeing housing grow in the most beautiful way by community involvement, closing gaps and barriers. And that's Monday's motivation.
And it was awesome. And I thank you for the accolades, but I just have to let everybody know that when I started, I have a testimony when it went from 15 minutes to an hour. It's amazing how God brought us all around together.
Yes, ma'am.
And both you and Pastor Judy have walked in and have helped make. I have a testimony to what it is, because it's not a one person thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And I thank God for that.
It's beautiful.
And I thank God for you and the accomplishment. I remember when you first started, way before we started doing radio together. And I had shared a vision with Kadithia Patterson about what was going on in my life at a particular time. And she said to me, go for it, And of course, Mr. Halliburton gave me the opportunity. I said, of a lifetime to have my voice to help someone. So I appreciate you. I appreciate Pastor Judy Johnson, but I appreciate you.
Yes,
because,
ma'am.
I mean, you and I work together so well, so well. So there's nobody but God.
Yes, but God. It's been a beautiful journey. He showed us some things along the way that we needed to see, and we are so grateful for the lessons. And just, it's a beautiful journey and a beautiful thing. Though the painful moments happen, we both had family members, things happening within our lives, and we just we go with the flow and roll with the punches, and that's exactly how I have a testimony flows too. So that's the most beautiful thing to me. And I've always heard my pastor say, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and it has been nothing but liberty here. At the Mighty 147 WVOL station, we are giving that. And I know I also wanted to give a shout out to the Winfrey family.
Oh, yes.
In their loss of Mr. Vernon, which is a legend here in Nashville, Tennessee. I dare not give a shout out to that beautiful angel that was gained. They had just celebrated him. I know the Winfreys were in town.
Was that 4th of July? Yeah, Oprah Winfrey came down to help celebrate her father. One of the things she said that was so important, when I heard Oprah Winfrey said she wanted to give her father the flowers while he was alive.
Yes, that
is very powerful.
Wow.
So let's encourage each other while we are alive. Let us love one another. Let us come to an understanding with one another. And grace.
Yes,
we need to give each other grace and a little mercy.
That's exactly why I mentioned it, because it was such a beautiful thing that she put that together. However that came about, it came in the nick of time, and he went on. It's like he saw and felt what he needed to before he left this earth. So that's such a beautiful thing, and it's so eye-opening to the ones that are still here on the living plane. So it's just, man, give people their flowers. There's nothing wrong with that. It's
we have to do a shout out to Oprah Winfrey. Because she started here at WVOL radio. So we have to give her, a shout out as well.
Yes, that's beautiful. Our condolences to your family. We love you here in Nashville. It's very obvious. So I just wanted to give that shout out to a beautiful person. And just, it's a lot of history being made. I feel like disappointment and just all the ordainedness of everything is historical of the things that we are looking at and that we're enduring, that we're breaking barriers over. I was thinking about this whole situation because I sometimes will not give myself my flowers.
Yes.
And I know in our community we talk about having therapists and things of that nature. I'm so grateful for my therapist because that's the first thing, because I dumped everything in her lap that I was, thinking about or going through. And the first thing she said, honey, if you don't celebrate yourself, you better. And I'm like, you know what? If I don't do so, who, will?
That's right.
You just have to, be able to stop and celebrate in the midst of things
and
happening.
If you stop to think about it, you are an example for people.
Yes.
And so what happens is people will celebrate you.
Yes.
And they will give you the flowers. They will give you those accolades. And it's okay.
And I love to do that for other people.
That's how we're supposed to be.
A lot of times when you're like that, people will look at you a certain type of way and feel that you want something from them or that you have an agenda, and that's not the case at all. It's just I enjoy congratulating the next person. I enjoy seeing the next person make it.
That's how God would want us to be.
Yeah, so that's what I love to give out. I don't necessarily expect it back, but I just love to do that.
And that's how we celebrate God. We know that without him, we're nothing.
Yes.
And that's why we need him. We know we're not perfect, but we know God is. And all you have to do, all any of us have to do is obey the word of God.
Yes.
Live according to his will. His will be done in our lives.
Yep.
Then that's when God will, he tells us, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me.
Yes.
And so what we have to do when we lift up God,
beautiful.
That's how we do it. God is to be praised, but God uses people to do what needs to be done.
Yes.
The journey he has you on is an awesome journey. Not everyone can do that journey.
Yes.
Because the journey was for you.
Oh, I just heard this new Tasha Cobbs song, and she was saying, why not me? Why not me going through what I had to go through to do what you told me to do? And that's so powerful.
Yes, because we will go through things.
It's powerful.
And God is the center of it because, you hear so many people that say, if he takes you to it, he'll bring you through it.
Yes.
So we have to realize that God he's in motion. He's working things out.
When I saw that to be a living testimony, Miss Charzetta, because he took me to a place and the number will sound impossible to anybody else's ears. But when I heard the number of how much this land cost that he took me to quite some time ago, it's a couple of locations. It's different locations he landed me at, so I could notate it then for now.
Yeah.
So I know he brought me to it because the way I got there, you just cannot refute that it was God that landed me there. That's right. And so, and what he keeps on telling me is eco communities. I just keep on hearing eco communities. And so I saw this one thing on the news, and they're built out in like Nevada, out in the desert and things like that. They're called Earthships.
Oh, okay.
And so these Earthships are homes that are built into the land, but they are made to be self-sufficient over each other. So that means like your sewage system would travel through the house and go to the plants for fertilizer or something of that nature. And then you have like solar power and things like that, things that are going to improve our climate. And so God has taken me to every bit and piece that he wants, every detail, even down to furniture. He has showed me already for such a time as this. And it was all about the obedience, like you said. But going back to that piece of land, I landed there. I was out of work, looking for a job, and I was trying to look for it in the county that I had got pushed out into, right? So the push out was part of his plan. All of this was part of his plan because I had to see what he wanted me to see. So anything that happens to you, God is trying to show you something. Remember that song, God is trying to tell you something, as we talk about Oprah. But that part, he landed me in 500 acres. It's got a couple of lakes on it, and it's just the number again was $3 million for that. But I did not flinch when I heard it, and I'm like, okay, guys, so I'm not gonna try to figure out the numbers of this. Just I know you gonna land it in my lap of how to get that land.
Yes.
He's going to see it through. That's exactly what we was just talking about. He's going to see it all the way through to the end. If he landed me on that land and showed me, and then I thought about the people that were already there, about how I would not displace them. That's and right. They would be still a part of the community. And so just even down to every single detail. And he even down told me to get ready and be looking at everything that I want, so I know I don't have to, waste time looking and figuring it out. So I already know.
And that's how God operates. That's how I operate. I was talking to one of my Christian sisters, I think it was last week, and she saw a video on YouTube about Africa. And so she was like, how can I help? I want to do something.
Wow.
And so I said to her, I said, reach out to the Church of the Nazarene.
Oh.
I said, because they have within their church the mission.
Yep.
They have the Haitians, they have the Hispanic, the European, they also have the Africans. So I told her, I said, if you reach out to them, then they can get you to where you need to be. Because see, that's what it's about in life, is when we're thinking about somebody else, connecting with people and how we can help them. Because what happens is we begin to realize that it's not about us.
Yes, it's not.
It's all about God and what God has for us to do. And thinking of others is one of the greatest gifts that anybody can have.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we don't need to be selfish. We do not need to be like that. We need to understand that who we are and what we're here to do on this earth. See, we're not here for popularity. We're here as servants of God. So when he puts us in a position to do it, because everybody can't do it. Everybody can't do it. But the great thing about God I like, if you read about the men and the women of the Bible, you realize they were not perfect.
Nope.
They was just not
by
perfect.
any means.
But God can use you. A lot of people say, well, you got to be qualified. God don't always call the qualified. He always, a lot of time, calls those that are not qualified. And then he'll turn around and qualify you because he'll begin to put people in your pathway that can help you. Because God knows what he has for you to do.
Ma'am.
And that's the thing that I love about God. Because when you have a heart like you do, and like my other sister do, that's one of my Christian sisters.
Yes, ma'am.
When you have a heart to help people, we
powerful.
know the help that we do is not to save us.
Yes.
But being saved help us with the helping that we are doing.
Yes, ma'am.
So the journey, that's right.
People.
So that journey that God has you on is an honor.
Man.
It's actually an honor.
Yes, ma'am.
So because everybody don't have that.
Yes.
So we have to get out of the way. We have to deny ourselves.
Yes.
That is the only way we're going to be productive in what we do in order to serve God and help other people. How does God help people? He can use people to help other people.
Yep.
So.
Yes, and then don't go attacking folks. But and the title of Monday's motivation was "All things work together for our good."
That's right.
Together, not apart. That's exactly what you just explained there. And just work it together. And I know we've talked about it before of how a body is there and you got an arm that needs to operate, you got another arm that needs to operate. We need to operate the leg.
That's right.
But it takes different, I would say, through your central nervous system,
And if you think about an arm, what makes up that arm? In order for that arm to work, you got to have an elbow.
Every component.
You have to have an elbow to help that arm. You have to have a wrist to make your hands go. You have to have a hand to make your fingers go.
Everything does its part.
So that's how God does his part in our lives. It's just like I was telling you, I saw another tree you put on Facebook.
Yes, I've been finding some beautiful nature.
When I see beautiful trees like that, it's like they're holding their hands up to God. They're
Arms
thanking Him,
outstretched. Yeah.
arms outstretched. But all their arms are really not the same. They may look like they're the same,
Yeah.
but some of them are not the same. And that's how God works with us.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is not going to be the same, but each hand is representing what
Oh,
God wants us to do. So we have
yes.
to get to that point.
Representative
that.
of,
That's
and
right.
if you see nature, you can
Mhm.
see the goodness of God, and
Yes, you can.
it's just those beautiful things. That's why I share a lot of that nature, because sometimes you can't get out and really see those oddities.
Mhm.
So bringing that picture to people, it
That's
brings
right.
peace, and
Mhm.
then it shows you something different that you didn't even know existed.
Mhm.
And a thing I was thinking about when you talked about the trees, even
Mhm.
down to the leaves are
Mhm.
alive.
Mhm.
So that's just, and then it goes through, like, if you think about the trees that are planted by the water, and
Mhm.
then they get substance by
That's
being
right.
planted by the water,
Mhm.
so their roots are gonna be strong.
Yes,
So just, I don't know, nature gives us a huge
it
message that
really
if we stop and
does.
take the time to
And that's
listen to it,
And that's
it's a
why I
beautiful
like
message.
riding through the countryside. You
Uh-huh.
see the beauty of the trees and the
Yes.
bushes, and
Oh,
if you really listen, you can hear the lakes and the rivers. You can hear
oh,
the
the
sound of
sounds
it.
of it is calming.
Yes, it's so calming. And the birds. Did you
Mm-hmm.
know birds can sing?
Oh yeah,
Oh, they can sing.
that and the frogs, they have a
Yes.
certain sound. They
Mhm.
sounded like crickets out
Mhm.
in the country,
Mhm.
and I love to hear that sound. And
Mhm.
I couldn't see a frog nowhere, but you heard that sound,
Uh-huh.
and you
Uh-huh.
knew what their sound meant.
Yes, you know what the sound.
And actually, when you go further out in the country, you can see the stars, and you
Mhm.
can't even see it in
And
the
the
city.
stars are so beautiful, like you could reach out and touch them.
Yeah.
They're just so beautiful. And you know something that I realized, like lightning bugs.
Uh-huh.
When we was little, we
Used
used to
to catch
catch them
them.
and put them in
Yep.
a jar so they could light up. You'd be
Mm-hmm.
surprised of the things that God has for us. You
Oh, we
just be
got caller.
surprised. We have a caller. Okay, caller.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
How y'all doing? This is Monique.
Hi,
Good morning,
Monique. Good morning,
Monique. How are
Monique.
you?
Hey. I
Hey.
just wanted to call because I heard Sister Kanisha talking.
Uh-huh.
And so, we both, God has given both of us a vision.
Yes.
We've been trying to execute that vision and bring it into fruition. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, in the startup phase, it can be very challenging.
Oh,
Yes.
So for anyone that may be listening that, God has given you something and, you've been working it and it seems like the people that you supported, or no shows, no calls, no support, are
Mm-hmm.
the people that, you feel like could help
that's
pour
right.
into you and they're nowhere to be found or they just don't take on that responsibility. Like, don't give up.
For
Mhm.
real.
God gave it to you and he promised you that, then he's going to do whatever he has to do
That's
to make
right.
sure it is fulfilled. And so oftentimes, he will send us a ram in a bush
Mhm.
and strangers and people we've never met
Uh-huh.
and people that may be connected to somebody else he sends our way,
That's
divine
right.
connection.
Mhm.
So I just want to encourage you, Kanisha. I mean, I understand that oftentimes, like, our trials and the pain that we endure is what God uses
Yes.
the visionary in so that we can help other people along the way to make their journey
That's what
easier.
it's about.
Mhm.
I just want to speak strength to you, and I just want to pray, and I just want to say I pray that God will give you the resources that you need, to purchase land, to be able to build houses and provide housing for low-income families
Mhm.
or,
Mhm.
people who are displaced or for whatever reason, because they don't have enough money or because of their mental issues or for whatever reason. I pray that, everything that he's shown you, that, just stay faithful over a few things. And if we're faithful over those few things, he'll make us through over many. So just stay encouraged today, my sister. I love you. You are always encouraging others. You are always encouraging me, and you always speaking life. So I just want to call in and speak life to you on today. That, just stay faithful. Don't give up.
Thank you
Amen.
so much.
Amen.
So I love you, Miss Charlicia, and I just love everything.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you.
And we just got to stick together.
Yes,
Yes,
we do.
ma'am.
Can do to help. And let me throw this out there and I'm going to let y'all go because I got some work to do for my nonprofit today as well. But August the 13th, Mom's is having this second annual cookout. So please come out, bring the children. We're going to have bounce house. We're going to be having food. We're going to have this. There's a small fee. So I shared the flyer with Tunisia if they want to post somewhere, but please come out and take advantage of this free community event hosted by moms, mothers overcoming marginal systems. And I just want to, connect with with my community, which is the Bordeaux area. Connect with the community.
Amen.
Let people know what moms is all about, and just try to connect with single mothers and see how I can be a blessing and help for them.
And that
Yes,
is a
ma'am.
blessing. So we're going to post it in I Have a Testimony on our I Have a Testimony page, what's
Yes,
going
ma'am.
on. So, yes, ma'am, we will get the word out there. that
We
get
love
it
you,
out.
Monique.
Thank
Thank
you.
I
you.
love you too, and this year is going to be awesome because I've been faithful, and so God is like sending me people that's willing to help
Yes.
whatever they can do, and so He's going to send those people to me here.
Yes,
But
it
just
is.
stay in the prayers, honey, and you got this. So y'all have a great day. Love y'all.
You too.
You
Love you
too.
too. That's so amazing. That
Yes.
just shows you how God does things.
Yes.
You don't know who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who has that understanding in their
Yes.
heart. You don't know who has gone through
Ooh.
what. So those were encouraging words
Yes,
to you.
ma'am.
Those were words that God had her to say for you
Yes,
at this
ma'am.
appointed time, at this minute.
Mhm.
It was nobody but God, but she gave you some wisdom
Yes,
and
ma'am.
a little knowledge, and she gave you love.
I want to
Mhm.
tell Miss Monique, which is the founder
Uh-huh.
of Moms Over Marginalized Systems. I remember the day that
Uh-huh.
she started. Like,
Okay.
when she was like, I want a nonprofit, and we both were starting out. And I'm like, girl, I see whatever I
Mhm.
got.
Uh-huh.
So
Just
just to see where she is now is such a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm so excited about August the 13th. I want
Mhm.
us to I have a testimony booth there,
Okay.
along with, I got on my Faces of Hood shirt right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Faces of Hood Housing Unity Project, we help tenants. We have a mini clinic every single Monday.
Mhm.
And what I've been seeing a lot in Black People Making Moves group
Okay.
is a ton of people having housing disparities. However, what I want to say about that, we have to get to the issue before it's an eviction to
Mhm.
prevent the eviction.
Yeah.
So if you come to those mini clinics, that's how we work with people power. And then we have letter writing we can do, but it is a $25 membership. So we need those fees so that we can continue to operate and to be available.
Mhm.
Because what happens is, I know myself and Miss Rachel Johnson both
Mhm.
have a 9-to-5 job. So that limits the way that we can operate within what we do and provide for the tenants.
Right.
However, it still goes forth. We press on anyway. But we want to be able to start paying some of our tenants that answer things in the group as well. It's a group of 40,000 tenants.
Mhm.
And so we envision where we are able to start paying our HUD tenants because of the membership, $25 per month buy-in. So then we could start helping with emergency things.
Oh,
we could start,
blessings.
making
Yes.
an impact, a real impact.
Yeah.
And I know we have the slogan, we're coming through in 2022.
Mhm.
There's a symposium coming up that we're about to have as well to further advertise what we're doing.
Amen.
We're the advocate here in Nashville, Tennessee. And like I said, there's so many people in trouble regarding housing, and that's what we're here to change. And I've been doing a lot of underground work behind the scenes,
Yes, you
and
have.
getting things together through fighting through so many obstacles, but God.
And
At the
and
end of the day, it's
believing,
God.
God, but believing in the vision
And keep it
that
going.
God has given you.
Yes.
But what a lot of people don't know is that I am one of her board members. This is what God gave her. I take a back seat to it because I'm learning from Canethia
Man.
things that I had never learned before about what's actually going on in the community, in the housing, and how people, my life, like I shared with Canethia, I have experienced all what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
I went through there. There was no funds available at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand that I understand what homelessness is about.
Yes, ma'am.
So you having me to be one of your board members is an honor for me.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a blessing. It really is a blessing. So I know within my heart that God is doing what he needs to do
Yes, ma'am.
through that
We have
vision that
seen
he's
it.
given you.
We have literally
know.
seen it.
Because Kaneetha and I, like I said earlier, we go back way before the radio
Yes,
show.
ma'am.
Way before the radio show. So
And each one of the board members, that's one requirement. It is to be a board member. We are looking for more board members to add. But the ones that are here is 3 of them, and they each have experienced being homeless in one manner or another, especially like couch surfing or having to live in your car, that type of thing. So the really traumatic homeless experience is built into our organization.
And you also have success stories.
Yeah.
And that's great about
Man.
the vision and success stories.
Yes, ma'am. So. That and just is it boils back down to that public education and teaching people that they do have rights within housing. A lot of times people just think whatever happens is what happens, but you could fight. I know one of the success stories was a gentleman, and I sit here and watch this in the court happen through Court Watch. And what happened was he was about to get evicted. I think he might have been working on getting a job, but what happened, it was bypassed. His eviction was because he stayed to talk to the judge. Something that simple. And a lot of times what happens is people get rounded up in court and they don't know they have the right to speak to the judge.
Right.
And so that changes your whole situation by stopping. It took so long because he had an advocate in the room with him that knew that. And we're not represented as any attorney. We give that disclaimer. We are not attorneys. We're going off of lived experience. And so we give you options to choose from yourself to, choose that path. And so it took so long for the judge to come back in the courtroom because he did not expect anybody to ask to speak to him. So that's alarming to see that in the courtroom. And then when the judge did come back, it was like, I want to say at least 7 white men staring down a black man to tell him to sign his rights away. And if he would have signed any papers, he would have been evicted that day. So no one really knows that process. They just like me, I went through that process and did not know I had rights when I signed my rights away. Right. And I had the money to pay to not be evicted, but they wanted me out because they had sold the complex and they will make more money getting me out of the door and getting that low income unit filled. So just, it's a lot within that housing realm, and it takes for you to have an advocate that knows what's going on throughout the behind the scenes. I know how to look at a score that's pertaining to you getting permanent housing. Right. I know how to kind of break that down because I went through it and I had to contest mine. I had to go back and ask them for paperwork. So all of this stuff that I have lived through, I can give you an option about it, because of living through it and other people living through it. So all those combined stories together bring together the expertise of, it's called proximal experience. Right. So,
and you being an advocate for people, you have been in the courtroom with them.
Man,
you have
Court Watch.
That's
a part of your $25 membership. I go to court with you. They hate to see me coming in that building. They cannot stand. This is one lawyer. He know me because what that joker did. What that joker did, he done ran out the door with my money after he told me to come get it. Because one of the council people, he got me a lawyer in the midst of my eviction, which was so much a blessing to him for being a true advocate, a true ally, let me say. Okay. I was thinking about true allies earlier, too, when I was doing Monday's motivation. But this gentleman was a council person. He got me a lawyer for his district. I did not have to pay a dime. And the lawyer tore into the other lawyer, and he was scared because he was like, hold up, how this lady get this lawyer in the first place? So that was shout out to the council person. And so when he told me after communicating with the other lawyer that I could come back and get my money, that I was trying to pay the rent, but they didn't want it. And even social services was trying to help me pay off the balance, and they wouldn't accept their money either. They said because it's going to be greater than the 10 days that it was due.
Really?
They don't want to take it, but it's a pledge. I'll take those all the time. But anyway,
and you had the money and they wouldn't take
I
it.
had my portion because I was working. I had got injured. That's how I ended up getting the eviction. But the place got sold, and so the new owners did not want to take my money. So and that's how it went down. They just wanted the unit because they were gonna clear that place out. And so I went to go get my money, and the man, he fumbled around back in his office. Then he takes off out the back door, hops in his Corvette, and pulls off with my money to go try to put it in the bank. And I'm like, you know what, Lord, if he needed it that bad, and he makes, I'm sure, millions, but you needed to do that to a poor person. I said, Lord, bless him. That's all I could say. Because that was just a pitiful act for him to be such a prominent lawyer and to need to take the money of a person that's poor like that. So that's just one of those many stories. And what came from that too was me going back and advocating, and I helped to win along with the community. It wasn't just me. I just was one of the advocates, but it helped them to win 1-for-1 replacement. So other people that were left behind me did not get put out. They got to go into the new establishment. 1-for-1 replacement. Everything had to be replaced that they were about to take away. And so if I did not speak out, that would not have happened. They just would have been, tossed to the side, pushed out to the outskirts like I was. So just, speaking up and being that voice for people and, doing
and
what's
I
right. I
admire you for that. I really do, because like you said, your money was taken from you.
Yeah.
You still had to leave, but you stood up for the other people in the unit. So they were able to stay. God has saw what you've done. He knows what's going on. He sees, when we do things to people and we do it out of spite, make one thing for sure clear. That God said, vengeance is mine, said the Lord.
That's why I was like, in some situation, I
so when
like
people
this.
do stuff like that and they do stuff out, see, everybody intentions is really not for you. They're said they're for you, but they're not. But God will show you who is really for you and who's really not. What that lawyer did, that was wrong. That was wrong.
That's why
we reap what we sow.
Anytime he see me come in the courtroom, he knows I still come in for court watching, stuff like that. And he saw me with this one tenant one day. His eyes about popped out of his head. It was like, and I looked at him like, I don't have no problem with you. And that's like you said, it's up to the Lord what happens to you. Because I don't have to do a thing. I don't have to, do nothing. It's all up to God, because it's his show.
That's right. It's God's will.
Yeah.
And God knows what's going on. He sees everything. So, how we treat people has a lot to do with how our life is going to be.
Yes, ma'am.
How we treat people too.
And I think, and kind of going back to what Miss Monique said, is a purpose in your pain. I say that all the time, profit from your pain. And that's not a monetary profit. That is the profit of what you're tied to your purpose. You're going to go through that thing, and you need to be learning that thing, because that's what your purpose is. That's what your purpose is.
And I like what Hillary Clinton said. Every brick that was thrown at her, she made a platform on it so she could stand on them bricks. I'm telling you, it elevated her.
And you know what it's hilarious, but not with her story of how they try to put her in jail, and every last person that said that is up for a prison sentence right now.
I'm telling you how we treat people. God is watching.
If God turned it around. We sang that in worship. God turned it around, and that's really what's happening right now. I'm just so excited and ecstatic about forward and all the things that is to come, because God turned it around. I saw it when we were going into the pandemic. It was like a big old ship being turned in the right direction. I saw that happening in the spirit, and it just was such a beautiful thing to see. I can see God turning it around. That's why I'm so sure and so positive in what he has told me. And I know exactly what he has told me throughout the years, through this 10-year span. Even when I was working with the other nonprofit, I already had my nonprofit. People don't know that. And I had to pick my baby back up is what I did. It's one good person that knows that transition and that story. But hey, just gotta go forth and keep picking your baby up. Don't put your baby down. Birth your baby. And I used to see the birth of the babies in the spirit realm too. They was some healthy 8-pound babies. No, I'm so little I can't have no baby like that. So you know, there was spiritual children and gifts that were being birthed. And hey, I just
isn't it
so
a blessing
excited
when you see that gift that God puts in people? And like you said, as Christians, we look at it in the spiritual realm. That's how we see things. God gives us that vision to see. So we know that when God is birthing these spiritual gifts into people, that he would want for them to have. Because it's always the ones you think wouldn't have it in them are the ones that God put in them in the first place.
Yes, ma'am. The ones that they think are not qualified are overly qualified. And that's what I've been enjoying is the obedience of it and learning that, because it was a point I had to unlearn a lot of stuff in order to learn. So that says a lot. You got to unpack a lot of stuff in order to learn and go forth in your purpose.
You said a message. You just said something, because sometimes you have to lose to win.
Yes.
Sometimes you actually have to lose to win, and you will understand why you lost. And a lot of times it's for your own good, because God got something else around the corner.
Way better.
Way better. And he directs us into that purpose that he has for us.
If only you would go.
That's right. If you got to go. It's like pathway to deliverance. Sometimes God will put you in the wilderness.
Yes, ma'am.
And bring you out of the wilderness.
Sure has.
Yes, he will.
Yes, we have literally lived that. We saw during the pandemic, we was outside worshiping in the wilderness. And I think even before that, we had learned a lot about ourselves, and it's a big journey of learning all the time. I call it ever learning is what I call it, because we are always going forth and learning new ways. And I just saw it was on Corner to Corner, and she was talking about how to organize your day, and I was like, I really needed that right now to see it, because I'm about to have a lot on my plate, so I need to be penciling in way better than I have ever before. So, and I got to go. I was talking about this last week, how I got to go to the executive committee meeting, and that was just awesome to sit in on. I was very, very intrigued with that meeting. So I don't know, I'm very excited for what's to come. And I don't know, how things can come, but I do not expect to be so shocked by them as I have been before.
That's humbleness. God humbles you. He humbles all of us. He makes us meet that we don't get so out of whack, out of touch, that we forget. And when God can humble us and be meek about it, that makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, ma'am.
And to me, from knowing you, you've always been an humble person. But I'm just saying that God humbles us.
Yes, ma'am.
As to what he has in store for us. So.
And that's one thing I've always said, Miss Charzetta. I don't care where I go or what rooms I go into. I will never forget where I came from.
That's right.
And I will never forget the ones behind me that I need to reach back and get my sister or my brother. Just period, because it's all of us. Like,
it's all of us. It's not
everybody.
Just one person. But it's just like opening an elevator door. When you go up the elevator, you can reach back and let somebody else get on the elevator as well. Because we get it doesn't have to be just me, myself, and I. God takes that away. He takes me, myself, and I. That's a lot of times why he sent us in the wilderness to get a lot of things in us, out of us, so that we can operate according to the Spirit of the Lord.
Yes, ma'am.
That's something to think about.
And I do want to say, I know the ending is coming, but I know I feel like I can say something about this that I am, which I've said something about it before a little bit. that I'm looking to start my own show here soon, hopefully by August. And doing, I don't know which day it'll be.
But you know, I am so proud of you because that's what it's all about, branching out.
Yes.
And what God has in store for you. I mean, that's what it's all about.
And you know what the name of I'm not going to say the name of the show yet, but the name of it, I've been trying to bring that to fruition since the person told me, which is the baby of Miss Shamita Granberry, one of our other board members. And I just cannot wait to put this out because it has been so many obstacles and so many things trying to block it because, and I look at that as it's so powerful that, you know, something's trying to prevent it from coming out. So that's the harder you need to try forward.
That's right. But God.
To make
Shamita Granberry.
Amen.
And I go back some years. I mean, she and I worked together, you know, for some years at Department of Human Services. We worked together. And this lady, Shamita, understood the vision, even my vision, even the vision I could sit and talk to her about, and how she explained what was going on with the butterfly and thing for her production company. This is a young lady that also has a heart for people. She cares about what's going on and what it's all about. So, you know, I said to you, Shamita, you know, thank God for you. Keep up that beautiful spirit you have, that love you have. Because this girl, I mean, the compassion that she showed. And I'm telling you, because when we went to Atlanta, I mean, she was bold. I got this, y'all. I got this, you know.
Yes, I was, you know, y'all was giving some face.
I'm telling you. She said, I got this.
That and it's beautiful. And she released her, I want to say her book should have been released last month, her birth month. And we cannot wait to share that.
Yes.
Because I couldn't wait for it to come out.
And in saying that, we also have to recognize Kenya. You know, Kenya, we have to recognize her too because she did.
I was just hollering at her this morning.
She did an awesome job when we all went to Atlanta and we did our commercial. We did the photos. And
she's got her own business.
She's got her business, you know, going through. And I have ordered some things from her. You know, t-shirts.
Our mask. And people,
and
man, the mask she made me, I was out of town and somebody tried to buy my mask off my face. I was like, for real? You try to take my mask?
The work is good.
Yeah.
Both her and her husband, they do a great job in what they're doing. You know, I appreciate him too because he's very instrumental too. So it's been some great people that God has brought through. I'm telling you, great
He has brought us through for real. Just the journey is so real. And then we have seen full circle, his fullness thereof, and just is such a beautiful thing. And staying the course, boy, that thing was like learning how to surfboard. A lot of times, you know, have you ever seen that commercial where it's a surfboard and the people flip inside the water and they surf, and that's how I felt sometimes, like I was in the rent cycle. I used to say that. I'm like, God, are you tumbling me around in a washing machine or something?
And when you come out, you'll be clean.
Yes.
So that's how you look at that. Yes,
Lord
you'll be clean, smelling good and everything. So, you know.
It's a rough ride, but you better hang on.
He puts us in the washing machine.
For
he puts
real.
us in, and it just swings and swings us, you know.
Hey,
so
come on out, get dried off, and let's go.
But that's how God operates. I just appreciate God. I just thank Him every day.
Yes, ma'am.
Because where would we be?
If it not been for Him,
if it had not been for the Lord, where would we be? You know. So we have to sometimes just stop and just say, Lord, you know, you made a way, and we know you're going to make another way because that's what it's all about. But in the process, we know that obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, we have to get in the word and, you know, and meditate, you know, what's really going on. You know, just take that time and just meditate. You know, when you find that long time that you can just meditate on God. That's why I like the countryside.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I see the beauty of the Lord, and I talk to God like He's my best friend.
Yes, ma'am.
You know? And I'm constantly saying, "Oh Lord,
I love the driving and watching nature, and just spending time with Him and talking to Him. That's why I said I had put a post up talking about it always happened to me in that car. I don't know how sometimes I get to my destination because I be tearing it up in there worshiping with God.
Giving him some praise, you know. Thank you, Lord. You know, just giving him some praise because he's worthy to be praised, you know.
Yeah, and I don't this car don't have no air right, so I was sweating, crying, praising, but it blended in with the sweat, so didn't nobody even know.
You know, because honey, I have driven cars that didn't have air conditioning for years. Honey,
I was like, thank you God for the wheels.
I'll tell you, I had a car that had one eye.
Okay, one eye ball, one of them hanging off.
I never got a ticket.
So know it.
I got back and forth to where I needed to go. It might have been bunched up in the front.
Yes,
but God got me to where I need to be. I was able to get back and forth to work. And that car carried me through for some years. Yeah. And I thank God for it.
I be praying like, Lord, keep it, Lord, just keep it.
Isn't it amazing how I get us through different things? You know, and you can look back and say, Lord, this is what you bought me from. You know, because that was a time, you know, like I said, the car had one eye. But that one eye car got me to where I needed to be, you know. I don't care if it was
over nothing.
Yeah, it could have been hunchback. It still got me to where
I done had the car moisturizer that are no windshield wipers. You be praying, Lord, let the rain stop. Oh, goodness.
And you caught in it. You know, I had a car that only had one windshield, and it pulled down right, and I'm like, oh my God.
I just got one, Lord, let me look on that one side.
Well, that one side get you to where you need to be.
I know.
You
Lord,
know. I even had a car once that didn't even have radio.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody
make your own music.
They said, you can put this in it to make your radio. So we look back and we're just grateful.
Yeah,
we're just
so grateful.
You know, thankful.
Lord, thank you for what's to come.
Yes.
And what has been, because he taught us.
You know, and people would say, I knew that was you coming around that corner because you had that one eye car.
Like I knew you.
Knew that was you coming around, you know.
Oh, Lord.
But this let us just keep everybody in prayer.
Yes.
And whatever any of you are going through, even ourselves, you know.
Ma'am.
You know, we just have to be prayerful and thankful and everything. And I just like to say that we have come to the end of the hour.
Yes, ma'am.
We thank God for those of you that have tuned in. Thank God for Monique calling in, giving you the word of God, a little wisdom and knowledge and accolade. You know, I think it's just beautiful. You know, people see the growth in you. They see what God is doing in you. And that's what it's all about. But we are here every Monday from 10 to 11. On I Have a Testimony with Kenethia Patterson and Pastor Judy Johnson. And there are others that come on, like Robin Davis. She'll be on this evening at 6 o'clock. And of course, you do not want to miss Hey Miss Judy.
Yep, on
Miss Judy is every Wednesday. Okay, but she might not be on this Wednesday. But we praise God for her. Wonderful woman. Wonderful pastor, you know, she has been an inspiration to us. And believe me, when I say she's working behind the scene with us, she really is. And I thank God for that because she is working behind the scenes. So let us just keep everybody up, lifted up in prayer. Yes, and we would love to see you here next Monday from 10 to 11.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. WVOL, Berry Hill, Nashville.